Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you're part of our journey. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready for a story that will leave you thinking. And if you love inspiring tales, a like goes a long way. Your money or your kid? Words that shattered the night air at pump number 7. The fluorescent lights of the gas station flickered, casting harsh shadows across the woman's face as she instinctively pulled her son behind her. Two men approached, their faces partially hidden by hoodies, their intentions clear in the predatory way they moved through the empty lot. Sarah counted the crumpled bills in her trembling hands again. $17.42. Not enough for a full tank, barely enough to get halfway home. The dashboard light had been warning her for miles, the E glowing accusingly as she pulled into the station on the outskirts of town. The night shift attendant barely looked up from his phone, separated from the world by bulletproof glass and indifference. A black Tesla pulled silently into the adjacent pump, its driver seemingly absorbed in a phone call. Sarah noticed him briefly. Suit jacket, expensive watch, completely unaware of her world collapsing just feet away. As the men moved closer, her son whimpered and she felt her options vanishing. That's when the Tesla's door opened and the man stepped out, his familiar profile suddenly illuminated under the harsh station lights. If this moment made you feel something, imagine what's coming next. Hit that like button and stay with us. Subscribe now. Sarah recognized him instantly. Elon Musk, the man whose face had graced countless magazine covers and news segments. What was he doing at this rundown station, miles from anywhere important? Her momentary distraction cost her. The taller assailant grabbed her wrist, fingers digging into her skin as he tried to pry the money from her grip. 6-year-old Danny clung to her leg, his small body trembling. "Please," she whispered, "this is all we have." The desperation in her voice cut through the night. Earlier that day, her landlord had raised the rent. Her ex was 3 months behind on child support. Her car was running on fumes, and now this, cornered at a gas station with her son watching. The smaller attacker laughed, a sound devoid of humor, as he stepped closer to Danny. "Pretty nice shoes the kid's got. Those'll fetch something too." His hand reached out toward the frightened boy, who buried his face deeper into his mother's jacket. The overhead lights buzzed incessantly. The security camera pointed uselessly at an empty corner of the lot, and the night attendant remained oblivious behind his protective barrier and smartphone screen. Elon Musk watched the scene unfold as he pocketed his phone. His day had been filled with board meetings, production deadlines, and the constant pressure of running multiple companies. He'd stopped for gas on his way back from an unexpected factory visit, choosing this out-of-the-way station precisely because it was unlikely anyone would recognize him. Now, he stood witness to something raw and unflinching, reality without filters or press releases. The woman's terror was palpable. The child's eyes, wide with fear, caught his gaze for just a moment. Something shifted inside him, something deeper than the carefully cultivated public persona. This wasn't about Tesla stock prices or SpaceX launches. This was immediate, primal. The taller assailant noticed Musk watching and straightened up. "Mind your own business, suit," he snarled, revealing yellowed teeth. "Unless you want some trouble, too." His partner snickered, emboldened by the threat, and yanked harder at the woman's arm. She cried out in pain, her face contorted as she tried to maintain her grasp on both her money and her son. Around them, the empty gas station remained eerily silent, like a stage set for this collision of worlds that would never ordinarily intersect. Musk straightened his jacket and took a deliberate step forward. His fingers tapped a pattern on his phone's screen, almost unconsciously. He wasn't the tallest man, nor the most physically imposing, but there was something in his calm demeanor that gave the attackers pause. The billions in his bank account meant nothing here. His Twitter followers couldn't help. This moment required something more fundamental. "I think you should leave her alone," he said, his voice carrying the slight accent that millions had heard in interviews and presentations. Sarah's eyes widened in recognition, but the attackers just saw another potential victim. The shorter one reached inside his jacket, suggesting the presence of a weapon. The night air seemed to grow colder. "You got a death wish, rich boy?" The taller one spat, releasing Sarah's wrist to focus on this new threat. Danny used the opportunity to press himself harder against his mother's side, small hands clutching her jacket. Other cars continued to pass on the nearby highway, their headlights briefly illuminating the scene before disappearing into the night, oblivious to the drama unfolding just yards away. No one was coming to help. Whatever happened next would be witnessed only by the stars above and the unblinking eye of a security camera that might or might not be working. Things are about to take a turn. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe, like our video, and keep watching. Musk's expression remained unchanged as he took another step forward, hands visible and empty. "I'm not looking for trouble," he said evenly. "I just stopped for gas like everyone else." His gaze never left the taller assailant's face, a technique he'd developed during countless high-stakes negotiations. "But I'm not going to stand here and watch you terrorize a mother and her child." The man who had threatened Danny hesitated, his hand still inside his jacket. The atmosphere at the gas station had shifted. The fluorescent lights seemed to buzz louder. The shadows grew deeper. Sarah used the moment to pull Danny closer, her maternal instinct screaming at her to run. But there was nowhere to go. Her car was nearly empty, and these men stood between her and the station's convenience store. "You don't know who you're messing with," the taller attacker warned, though there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Something about Musk's confidence was unsettling him. People with money usually showed fear in situations like this. They begged, they offered bribes, they trembled. This man was doing none of those things. Inside the store, the attendant finally looked up from his phone, noticing the confrontation. He reached for something under the counter, possibly a phone to call police, or perhaps the silent alarm. Either way, help was still minutes away at best. Musk seemed to calculate this, his eyes briefly flicking toward the store before returning to the men. "I know exactly who I'm dealing with," Musk replied, his voice taking on an edge of steel that few outside his executive boardrooms had ever heard. "Two cowards who think threatening children makes them powerful." The shorter attacker pulled his hand from his jacket. No weapon, just a bluff. His confidence was cracking. "Do you know who this is?" he asked his partner, voice slightly raised. "This is that Tesla guy, the space rocket billionaire." Recognition dawned slowly on the taller man's face, confusion giving way to calculation. The dynamics were shifting. Perhaps there was more money to be made here than they'd initially thought. "Well, well," the taller one smirked, adjusting his approach. "Elon Musk himself, out here in the middle of nowhere." He took a step toward Musk now, interest in Sarah temporarily forgotten. What's a billionaire carrying these days? Cash? Crypto keys? His hand extended, palm up. "Let's see it." Sarah seized the opportunity to back away, pulling Danny toward her car. The boy was shaking, tears silently streaming down his face. She fumbled with her keys, torn between the instinct to flee and the strange, compelling drama unfolding before her. Musk noticed her movement but kept his focus on the attackers, deliberately positioning himself between them and Sarah's retreat path. "I don't carry cash," Musk said calmly, "and my crypto keys, as you call them, aren't something you can just take." A hint of a smile played at the corner of his mouth. almost as if he found the situation darkly amusing. "But I can help you if that's what you need." The taller man's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Help us? What's that supposed to mean?" His partner moved closer, greed overriding caution. "Everyone needs help sometimes," Musk continued, his gaze briefly shifting to Sarah and Danny. "She does. Maybe you do too. The difference is how you ask for it." The shorter man laughed nervously. "Is this some kind of TED Talk? We don't need your life coaching, rich man. We need whatever's in your wallet." His hand moved to his waistband now, suggesting again that he might be armed. Sarah had reached her car but hadn't gotten in yet, watching the scene unfold with a mixture of fear and fascination. Danny clung to her, his small face buried against her side. "My wallet," Musk repeated thoughtfully, as if considering the concept for the first time. With deliberate slowness, he reached into his back pocket and removed a slim leather case. The taller attacker's eyes lit up, his focus entirely on the potential prize. "I have about $200 cash," Musk said. "It's yours if you want it. Or," he paused, his voice taking on a different quality, "I could offer you something worth much more." The gas station's overhead lights flickered momentarily, casting strange shadows across the pavement. From the highway came the distant wail of sirens. Someone, perhaps the attendant, had called the police. The taller man glanced nervously over his shoulder, calculating how much time they had left. "What are you playing at?" he demanded, reaching for the wallet. Musk pulled it back slightly, just out of reach. "Jobs," he said simply. "At Tesla. Starting salary $38 an hour, full benefits, stock options after the first year." The offer hung in the air between them, unexpected and surreal. "Everyone deserves a second chance. Even you." The shorter attacker's mouth actually fell open. The taller one's eyes narrowed to slits. "You think this is funny? Some kind of joke?" His voice rose, anger replacing the calculating tone from moments before. His hand shot out and grabbed Musk's jacket lapel, twisting the expensive fabric. "I'm not here for your charity case." The sirens grew louder. Sarah slowly opened her car door, helping Danny inside while keeping her eyes fixed on the confrontation playing out under the harsh fluorescent lights. This story is only getting deeper. What would you do in this situation? Comment below, and let's talk. Musk didn't flinch when his jacket was grabbed. Instead, he met the man's gaze with a calm intensity that seemed out of place in the violent moment. "It's not charity," he said evenly. "It's opportunity. The same kind I've been given throughout my life." His hand came up, not to fight back, but simply to rest on the attacker's wrist. "You have about 30 seconds to decide. Those sirens will reach us by then." The shorter attacker backed away, his survival instincts kicking in. "Man, we gotta go. This isn't worth it." He was already turning toward the shadows beyond the gas pumps, ready to flee. But his partner remained, fingers still twisted in Musk's jacket, caught in the gravity of a moment he hadn't expected. "You don't know anything about me," he hissed, face inches from Musk's. "You don't know what I've done, what I've been through." "No," Musk agreed. "I don't. But I know what you could do instead of this." The sirens were close now, maybe blocks away. Time was running out. The gas station's lights illuminated the scene like actors on a stage. The billionaire, unruffled despite the hand at his throat. The desperate assailant caught between rage and something that might have been longing. Sarah, half in her car, frozen in witnessing something profound. The taller man's grip loosened slightly. "You're serious?" "A job." Just like that. His voice had lost its threatening edge, replaced by disbelief and the faintest trace of hope. Behind them, his partner was becoming increasingly agitated. "Monday morning, 8 a.m., Fremont Factory," Musk said. "Ask for Maria Rodriguez in HR. Tell her Elon sent you. She'll be expecting you." He reached slowly into his jacket's inner pocket and produced a business card, offering it with steady fingers. Time seemed suspended as the man stared at the card, his fingers still twisted in Musk's jacket. The police sirens wailed closer, their red and blue lights now visible on the horizon. "Why?" he finally asked, his voice barely audible. "Why would you do this?" "Because talent is universal, but opportunity isn't," Musk replied. "I've been lucky, very lucky, and sometimes people just need one break." He gestured toward Sarah and Danny with a slight nod of his head. "She needs a break too, different kind maybe, but still a break." The shorter assailant was practically bouncing with anxiety. "Dude, we have got to go. Now!" He had already backed into the darkness beyond the gas pumps. The taller man finally released Musk's jacket, taking the business card with trembling fingers. For a brief moment, something passed between them. An understanding, perhaps, or simply the recognition of a crossroads. "Go," Musk said quietly. "But remember, Monday, 8 a.m. One chance." The man nodded once, backing away, then turned and ran after his partner. They disappeared into the night just as the first police car turned into the gas station, lights flashing across the scene. Sarah stood frozen, one hand on her open car door, Danny still inside, watching through tears. Musk straightened his jacket and turned toward her. There was no triumph in his expression, no self-satisfaction at his intervention. Instead, there was something gentler, more human than any of his press photos had ever captured. He walked toward her car, careful to move slowly, hands visible. "Are you and your son okay?" he asked, his voice carrying across the space between them. Sarah nodded, unable to find words immediately. The police car pulled up, an officer emerging with hand on holster, taking in the scene with professional suspicion. "What's going on here?" the officer demanded, looking between Musk and Sarah. The gas station attendant had emerged from the store, pointing and speaking rapidly into his phone. Everything was happening at once, reality reasserting itself after the surreal confrontation. "These people were being harassed," Musk explained simply. "I intervened. The men ran off that way." He pointed toward the darkness where the attackers had disappeared. A second police car arrived, its officer immediately heading in the direction Musk had indicated. Sarah finally found her voice. "He helped us," she said, her hand protectively on Danny's shoulder as the boy peered out from the car. "They were going to take everything we had." Her voice broke slightly. "He stood up for us when no one else would." The officer's demeanor changed as he recognized Musk, the professional suspicion giving way to surprise. "Mr. Musk? Sir, are you all right? Were you hurt?" The dynamics shifted immediately, the billionaire now the center of attention and concern. But Musk shook his head, stepping away from the spotlight being directed at him. "I'm fine. It's them you should be concerned about." He gestured toward Sarah and Danny. "They're the ones who were targeted." Sarah stared at him, this man whose face she had seen countless times on screens and magazines, now standing in the harsh reality of a gas station on the edge of town. "Why did you help us?" she asked, echoing the question the attacker had posed. "You could have been hurt. They could have had weapons." Musk was quiet for a moment, considering her question with the same seriousness he might give to a complex engineering problem. Danny had stepped out of the car now, standing close to his mother, but looking at Musk with the unfiltered curiosity only children possess. The police officers were taking statements from the gas station attendant, momentarily giving them privacy. It's not over yet. The best part is coming. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I helped because I could, Musk finally answered, his voice soft yet clear in the night air. The real question is why more people don't. He crouched slightly to be at eye level with Danny, who was still watching him with wide-eyed wonder. "Are you okay, buddy?" Danny nodded shyly, then whispered something to his mother. Sarah gave a small smile through her tears. "He wants to know if you're really the man who builds rockets." Musk smiled, a genuine expression that transformed his face. "I have a lot of help with that. But yes." He reached into his pocket and pulled out what looked like a challenge coin with the SpaceX logo. "This flew on the first Falcon Heavy. Would you like to have it?" Danny's eyes widened as he accepted the token with reverent hands. The police had finished with the attendant and were approaching again. Musk stood up, fishing his wallet from his pocket once more. This time, he removed several $100 bills. "For your gas," he said, offering them to Sarah. "And whatever else you need tonight." When she hesitated, he added gently, "Everyone needs help sometimes. There's no shame in that." Sarah slowly accepted the money, her hands still trembling slightly. "I don't know how to thank you." Around them, the gas station had transformed into a bustle of activity. Police taking statements, the attendant recounting his version of events to anyone who would listen, a small crowd of curious motorists who had stopped upon seeing the police lights. Musk glanced at his watch. A simple timepiece, not the ostentatious luxury one might expect. "I should get going. The officers have my contact information if they need anything else." He started to turn toward his Tesla, then paused. "What's your name?" "Sarah," she replied. "Sarah Connors. And this is Danny." The boy had tucked the SpaceX coin safely into his pocket, his other hand firmly grasping his mother's. Musk nodded, committing the names to memory. "Sarah, there's a Tesla service center about 15 miles from here, on Industrial Parkway. Go there tomorrow morning and ask for Alex. I'll let him know you're coming." He handed her another business card, this one with a handwritten number on the back. "They'll help you with your car, whatever it needs." One of the officers approached, notebook in hand. "Mr. Musk, we'll need an official statement from you." The professional tone couldn't quite mask the officer's own amazement at the situation. Mobile phones had emerged from the small crowd of onlookers, capturing photos and videos of the scene. By morning, the story would spread across social media. Elon Musk, the billionaire, standing in a gas station in the middle of the night, defending a mother and child. News outlets would pick it up, first as a curiosity, then as something more profound. The images would circulate, be commented upon, analyzed, memed, and shared hundreds of thousands of times. 3 days later, the taller attacker did show up at the Fremont factory. Security footage would capture his hesitation at the entrance, the business card clutched in his hand, the moment of decision as he finally walked through the doors. Maria Rodriguez in HR was indeed expecting him, just as Musk had promised. Sarah's car received not just a tank of gas, but a complete service overhaul at the Tesla Center. When she tried to pay with the money Musk had given her, Alex refused, handing her an envelope instead. Inside was a job offer, administrative assistant at the same service center starting the following Monday. A chance, just like the one Musk had offered her attacker. The story continued to spread, not because of Musk's wealth or fame, but because of the simple humanity he had displayed. In comment sections and forums, people debated. Would they have done the same? Would they have had the courage to intervene? The compassion to offer help rather than punishment? The vision to see potential where others saw only threat. 2 weeks later, Danny's school project about My Hero featured a carefully drawn picture of a man standing tall at a gas station, protecting a mother and child. The SpaceX coin sat in a place of honor on his bedside table. And every night before bed, he would ask his mother the same question. Do you think the bad man went to work at the rocket factory? Sarah always gave the same answer. I hope so, Danny. Everyone deserves a second chance. In a world obsessed with wealth and status, the story resonated because it wasn't about billions of dollars or electric cars or space rockets. It was about something far more powerful. The choice to see humanity in others, even when they show their worst. The choice to offer opportunity instead of judgment. The choice to stand up when standing back would be easier. Sometimes true power isn't measured in money or influence, but in the courage to help when no one else will. Wow, what a story! If this moved you, imagine what else we have for you. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let us know what you think.